So now that we have learned how to plot points, we want to look at how to find the midpoint of a line. And the midpoint of a line is located halfway between the two endpoints of a line, as you would expect. So here we have a line. One end is at -2, 1. The other end is located at 4, 3. So we want to locate the midpoint. Alright, so we have two ways we could do that. We could measure the length of the line down, and we could find halfway. So for example, just saying, I don't know how long the line is, but suppose the length of this line is 10 centimeters. Where would I find the midpoint? Halfway, which is 5 centimeters away, right? Good. But there's a formula that we can use to get the midpoint of this line without actually have to do the measurement. Good. And this is the formula: x1 plus x2 over 2. So the x coordinate is given by x1 plus x2 over 2, and the y coordinate of the midpoint is given by y1 plus y2 over 2. Now what is x1 and x2? So here we have 2 points. -2, 1, 4, 3, 2 endpoints. So what we normally do is label. It doesn't matter which one you want to label x1. So these are the x values. The 4 and the -2 represent the x coordinates. Let me call this x1. Alright? If you wish, you could have called this x1. It doesn't matter which one. And let me call this x2. So I'll call this x2. But you could have called it x1 if you wish. Alright? It doesn't matter which one is x1 and which one is x2. And again, because I call this x1, then I need to call this y1. Remember, the second values represents the y coordinates. And because I call this x2, I need to call this one y2. I can't call it anything I want to call it now. That's very important. So because I call this -2 x1, it means it's a must that I call this one this coordinate y1. So if I'd call this coordinate x2, then this would have to be y2. And if I'd call this coordinate x1, then this would have to be y1. But because this is x2, then this has to be y2. And because I call this x1, then this has to be y1. Okay? And now the midpoint, using the formula, the midpoint. So you add the two x coordinates. So what are the x coordinates? -2. So you take the average of the two x coordinates. Alright, -2 plus 4 and divide by 2. And you take the average of the two y coordinates. 1 plus 3 divided by 2. So even though it's 1 point, remember it's a midpoint, you know. It's 1 point, but every point has 2 coordinates. There's an x coordinate and there's a y coordinate. So -2 plus 4, that's 2. 2 divided by 2, that's 1. And then the 1 plus 3, that's 4. 4 divided by 2. Alright? So we're saying that the center or the midpoint of this line is found at the point 1, 2. 1, 2, let me just look at where 1, 2 is. So 1, 2 means from the origin, you go 1 to the right and 2 up. So the center of the line will be here, so the midpoint. Midpoint of the line, center of the line, same thing. Good? And as you can see, based on just to the naked eye, it seems as if this point is found in the dead center of the line. So we have another problem. Here we have 2 points on this line. One of them coordinate is 3, 2, as you see, from here's the origin where the x and y axis meet. So 3 across and 2 up, so this point is 3, 2. And the other point is a -5, 6. So from the origin, we go -5 to the left and 6 up. So we have 2 points there, 3, 2 and -5, 6. And we're asked to determine the midpoint of the line whose endpoints are -5 and 6. So I guess there's a line. See if I can draw this line. I guess there's a line connecting. These 2 points. See if I can draw this line. Alright, this is a line connecting these 2 points. See if I can draw a better line. Alright, so we have a line connecting -5, 6 and 3, 2. And we want to find the midpoint of this line, or the center of this line. Good? Let me just put the formula. Let's put the formula there since remember that what the formula says. The midpoint. I will just say, let me just put capital M for midpoint. Let's write out midpoint. And the formula, what's the formula again? For midpoint. You average the x values. So x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 over 2. So it's a straightforward formula, right? To get the x coordinate for the midpoint, you average the x values. And to get the y coordinate, you average the y values. So to get the x coordinate, you add the two x values. What are the x values? So let me call this x1. So this would have to be called y1, right? And let me call this x2. The first number is the x value, right? Second number is the y value. So this would have to be y2. So the midpoint is add the two x values. So I get minus 5 plus 3 over 2. And then the y coordinate 6. So add the two y values. 6 plus 2 divided by 2. So minus is minus 5, right? So minus 5 plus 3 was minus 5 plus 3. Minus 5 plus 3, that's negative 2. Negative 2 divided by 2, that's what? Negative 1. Midpoint negative 1. And the y coordinate, 6 plus 2, that's 8. 8 divided by 2, that's 4. Alright, so the midpoint is minus 1, which will be here. This is minus 1 will be here, right? Minus 1 and positive 4. So minus 1 to the, you're going from the origin, you go to the left 1 unit and then 4 up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the midpoint of the line will be found somewhere there. Let's move on to finding the length of a line. Next video.